Today, we're talking about group decisions. Many people believe that having more than one person making a decision actually makes the decision better. But making a decision in a group can result in a worse decision than if it is made by an individual alone. One problem is that a group will only do well if the most talented member can convince the others that he or she is right, which is not always easy, given that many of us bear a strong resemblance to mules when it comes to admitting we're wrong. You undoubtedly know what it's like to convince a group to follow your idea, be faced with opposition and disbelief, and then have to sit there and watch the group make the wrong decision. Process loss is any aspect of group interaction that inhibits good problem solving. Process loss can occur for a number of reasons. In some groups, people don't listen to each other. In others, one person is allowed to dominate the discussion while the others tune out. Groups may not try hard enough to find out who the most competent member is. The most competent member may also find it difficult to disagree with everyone else, and then, of course, communication problems can arise. One of the reasons that group decisions can be worse is that groups often fail to share unique information, meaning that groups often fail to discuss information that only some members have. Consider a medical team trying to decide on the course of a treatment for a person with abdominal pain. All members share some knowledge, such as the fact that the patient is male, in his 50s, and with a history of digestive problems. Some members of the team, however, know things that the other members do not. The doctor who first examined the patient in the emergency room may be the only one who knows that the patient had mussels for dinner that night, whereas one of the attending physicians may be the only one to have seen the results of a blood test showing that the patient has abnormally high white blood cell count. Obviously, to make the most informed decision, the group needs to pool all of the information and use it to decide on the best course of treatment. However, sometimes groups do better at remembering information than an individual would. The combined memory of two people, known as transactive memory, is more efficient than the memory of either individual. By learning to specialize their memories and knowing what a partner is responsible for, couples often do quite well in remembering important information. The same can be true for a group of strangers if they develop a system whereby different people are responsible for remembering different parts of the task. Groupthink is one of the major problems associated with group decision-making. Groupthink is a kind of thinking in which maintaining group cohesiveness and solidarity is more important than considering the facts in a realistic manner. Perhaps this was the problem with Kennedy and his advisors when they decided to invade Cuba. They were more concerned with maintaining morale than with rocking the boat. Kennedy and his advisors were riding high on their close victory in the 1960 election and were a tight-knit, homogeneous group. Since they had not yet made any major policy decisions, they lacked well-developed methods for discussing the issues. Moreover, Kennedy made it clear that he favored the invasion, and when he asked the group to consider only the details of how it should be executed, instead of questioning whether it should proceed at all. Groupthink is most likely to occur when a group is highly cohesive, isolated from contrary opinions, and ruled by a directive leader who makes his or her wishes known. The good news is that a wise leader can avoid groupthink by remaining impartial, seeking outside opinions, creating subgroups, and seeking anonymous opinions. Fortunately, President Kennedy learned from his mistakes with the Bay of Pigs decision when he encountered his next major foreign policy decision, the Cuban Missile Crisis. He took many of these steps to avoid groupthink. When his advisors met to decide about what to do about the discovery of Soviet missiles in Cuba, Kennedy often absented himself from the group so as not to inhibit discussion. He also brought in outside experts who were not members of the in-group. That Kennedy successfully negotiated the removal of the Soviet missiles was almost certainly due to the improved methods of group decision-making he adopted.